What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. The Frostbound update for DD2 is just days away, and Chromatic gave me the opportunity to jump onto this test build and give a few little teasers on what's to come. So today we're going to take a look at the new hero, the Frostweaver. Now, this is the Frostbound update. This is the Frostweaver, so with that in mind, this is a very, very frosty hero. If we take a look through the abilities, we know that this particular hero is a DPS-only hero. They have no towers. Now, first off, the regular primary attack is using a staff. So with that in mind, by equipping a staff, you are going to change your shot type for that hero. Here we've got a single 3, and you see that then changes my shot to 4 times per second. The alternate fire on the hero is this kind of familiar looking effect from the Abyss Lord. However, it is very, very different. As you see, it's doing frost damage, and it is a straight up damage dealing ability. You can additionally scale this up or the tick rate up with your Ascension points, which we will get into here in a bit. And let's start right off at the bottom here with the first ability, and that is Flurry. Summon a flurry of ice projectiles that deal damage to all enemies hit. Now, of course, there will be shards and mods that get added in specifically for that hero. We are doing this little look completely naked, so no shards, no mods, no special stuff. Now here is a look at Flurry, and you see it's firing, looks like 6 total projectiles, and they will hit, individually. They will hit multiple enemies. So that is the number 1, the very first ability that the Frostweaver has. Next up, we have Cold Snap. Fires an ice orb out that explodes on contact with the first enemy hit, freezing the floor below and then dealing damage and slowing enemies. So this is going to give us a little bit of slow or crowd control in the lane. Of course, being a frost-based hero, this hero will be all about freezing the enemies. And there is a look at the second ability. So it leaves that path on the ground that will then freeze enemies as they walk over it. Next up, we have Avalanche Strike. Slam your staff into the ground, causing an avalanche of ice boulders to fall into the area. So this is a ground-targeted ability that is going to no doubt have Big Boom Boom and leaves a little chill there on the ground. And then we have Permafreeze. Creates a blast of ice around you that freezes all enemies hit and deals massive magical ice damage. So this is an AoE ability around the hero itself. You can kind of pop this while you're standing in the middle of a pack, and that will nuke the entire crowd around you, but additionally will freeze them all up. And then moving over to the ability 2 side of things, we've got 2 self buffs. One of them very, very interesting. But let's start off with the very first ability, Blizzard's Embrace. The hero turns themselves into an ice cube, healing over time and becoming invincible. Think World of Warcraft Ice Block. Oh yeah, we have got it. So if you get in trouble, you can pop your Ice Block. You are now invincible, and of course you can release that whenever you choose to. Now here is the first buff that you get, Arctic Empowerment. Now this one is a little bit different than any other buffs. Maybe it's similar to like a Barbarian Shout. But Arctic Empowerment is going to increase your damage at the cost of a portion of your mana pool. So as a, Path of Exile player, I know all about mana reservations. This is very similar to that. So when we pop our Arctic Empowerment, it actually doesn't cost very much. You see my maximum mana drops down to 262 from 350. Of course, you can toggle this on and off whenever you want. That will lower your maximum mana pool, but it's going to give you a buff that stays up. So particularly if you are like playing a hero damage hero or a hero where you want to be spamming abilities and have enough regen where you're not concerned with your mana usage, This will be up 100% of the time. You're going to want to leave this up constantly. Now we've got the ice wall. Creates an ice wall that blocks the path of enemies and then does damage once it's destroyed. Now the ice wall is exactly that. You throw it down, you got yourself a temporary little wall. When it does get destroyed, it is going to do damage, and you can move this around. You can only have one of them up at a time, of course. However, you can move it to wherever you please, and you saw the little damage explosion right there. So that is the ice wall, and giving us a little bit of defense flavor in Dungeon Defenders 2 on a DPS-only hero. So when we move that around, of course, we don't get the explosion, but that does give you the opportunity to move it from lane to lane. And then last but not least, we have Icicle Fragmentation. When you slay an enemy, icicles explode out around the enemy, dealing magical ice damage. Now, this is more of a conventional buff in Dungeon Defenders 2. It is a buff with a duration. So you pop it. As you see, it's going to last for about 8 seconds. We still have a little placeholder art up there with that mercenary icon. However, this will be more similar to other buffs in DD2. So we got 2 self buffs. We've got one we can keep up all the time. We've got another one we can pop as we're about to kill a bunch of things. This second buff, of course, makes enemies explode into a burst of icicles. So should definitely be a fun one to play around with. Now this, of course, could be work in progress. However, when you look through the Ascension Tree, it's exactly what you would expect from a hero that has no defenses. So we've got all the traditional stuff over here in utility. We've got the ability mana, we've got crit chance, we've got crit damage, we've got our hero damage, our hero health, and our movement speed. Then in our offense and defense category, let's start off in defense. We've got Arctic Empowerment Resource Use. This is your perma buff. This one, you're going to be able to spec into it to get even more damage out of it, but of course that will consume more of your mana pool. So when we pop it up now and look, that drops us down to half. However, it does give us an increased damage buff. And then we got the Blizzard's Embrace Heal. This is your ice block ability. By speccing into this, you're going to get more of a heal over time as that ice block is up. So you're going to be popping that one to save yourself and give yourself some ice block. And then don't confuse our ice wall as a traditional wall, as it is without a doubt a tool to be used in an offensive nature. So we can spec into ice wall damage and get more value out of the ability power for that particular ability. So now when it explodes, it's going to do even more damage. And then in the offense category, starting down at the bottom, we got Polar Vortex Speed. Polar Vortex is our alternate fire. So we look at it without any points in, and we see how fast it ticks off. Then we can throw some points into it, and we're going to see that it is now doing its damage much, much quicker. And the ticks are really ripping off there. So we're getting multiple per second here now, giving us a nice attack rate on that alternate fire. Then we got permafreeze damage. Permafreeze damage is exactly what you would think. It is scaling up our permafreeze ability. So now when we hit our permafreeze, that is going to do a little bit more damage. We got our Icicle Fragmentation. That is giving it even more power. We've got Flurry damage. That is giving it even more power. The Avalanche Strike damage, more ability power for it. And the Cold Snap damage, more ability power for it as well. So not that you won't be able to play this one as hero damage, as I know hero damage is kind of fan favorites with a lot of players. It will definitely be worth diving into. However, as far as the abilities go, it is a very ability focused or ability centric hero. So there will no doubt be some super fun ability power builds to get mixed in and utilize all of those abilities. Now, when you think about hero damage, one of the first things that pops into mind is, of course, the focused power shard. Now, when we look at focused power, of course, focused power is all about your ability cooldowns. So you see we do have quite a few that we can use to keep up. You know, like the Gun Witch, whether you're playing ability power or a hero damage build, I think focusing on those ability cooldowns will probably be quite important, as we do have so many of them. So that is a look at the Frostweaver, the upcoming hero in Dungeon Defenders 2. This one is going to be rolling out in just a few days with the Frostbound update. But that will do it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thanks again.